directly talking about, you are welcome to raise your hand or interrupt me and ask a question. But we will attempt to keep somewhat focused to get through this in half an hour. So Sandy and I both use the desktop version of Microsoft Teams, and that is specifically what I will be showing you. Like the other 365 apps, that's Microsoft 365, not that there's 365 of them. Teams does have a browser version as well. And though I prefer the desktop version personally, because it feels a little bit more robust to me, if you prefer the browser one, that's fine. But if you find you're having trouble with something, it's sometimes worth switching to try the other one, depending on which one you're using. Sandy, may I have our next slide, please?
Absolutely.
So, what is Microsoft Teams? Hopefully you have some idea as you're here, but Teams is one of the Microsoft 365 apps. And this one in particular is a hub for collaboration and communication. It can act as a directory for files and allow you to communicate in various forms with other members of your organization in a few different ways, which can make it flexible and generally useful. So if we continue onward, we're going to begin with an introduction. Here we are, and downloading the app if you choose. We're going to take a tour of Teams, create a team and the team settings, looked at different channels and things like that.
Oh, Sarah, I apologize. I skipped a slide. So you might want to just ask this.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I almost thought you did it on purpose and just went with it. So to drive my presentation a little bit, what are your goals for using Teams? Sharon, you're first on my screen, so I'm going to ask you what your plan is.
So I've used Teams with another college, and I was just wondering, the menu features, if there's any updates or differences, and just other
standard overview.
Yes, because right now I offer Zoom meetings, but to offer Teams, I'm sure is another option with students as well.
At this point, students typically don't have access to Teams, so this is more colleague to colleague.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. And Rap to see,
I don't know who.
I'm not sure who you are, but if you would like to speak up, I'd love to hear it.
Hi, Sarah. My name's Robin. I'm the CAD secretary, so I do counseling, advising, and disability services.
Great.
So I'm on 4 different teams, and student affairs, counseling, advising, and DS. Haven't used any of them, but I'm on them. And I know we're going to be going into that with, what do you call it? With all the, active groups and everything, but I have no idea. And Maggie just said, jump on this and this will help us. So I have no idea why I'm on all these teams. I know I'm going to be using them extensively, and I know I'm going to be using SharePoint, but that's about all I could tell you. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to enlighten me. I know we have our files moved over somewhat onto the teams. I think from what I understand is my NCC, with all of that going away, we have to transfer and relocate or house our different things that, each department is unique for.
Awesome.
That's
well,
right.
that sounds, both of those things sound like what we're planning to cover.
Great.
So I'm going to steal screen sharing from Sandy
Go right
and
ahead.
show you, you should be seeing my teams as well.
Yes.
Excellent. I have two monitors, so I always second guess which one I've clicked. This is Microsoft Teams. This is the desktop version. And I'm going to take you on a quick tour of our different options and sections here. Starting with the left-hand side menu, which is going to be where your core navigation. Now, a lot of Microsoft products have that menu up at the top, the banner and ribbons. Teams is a bit unique in that it has everything down the side. So you can customize what you have going on down here. You can right-click anything you want to unpin it and get rid of it. For instance, if I unpin the files icon there, it goes away. And by clicking these three dots and searching through apps, you can add any apps that you want to. And this is helpful. For instance, I have OneNote here from the training workshop this morning, but personally, I'm not a big fan of OneNote. It doesn't quite mesh with the way I think and organize myself. It's a perfectly good app for the people who like it. It's just not something I use a lot. So I might unpin that and declutter my space. But Sandy might love OneNote and want to add it to her space. So starting off here, I have an activity section which can catch you up on people liking your messages and all sorts of things. Actually, if I were to get rid of anything from my sidebar, I might get rid of that one because it ends up being a little redundant. The next one here is the chat feature, which is my personal, this is where Olette tends to hang out the most. This is what we mostly use Teams for. And it works a lot like any messaging platform that you might have. If you're on Facebook or, it actually reminds me a lot of AIM from back when I was in like middle school and high school, but that may be a very specific age bracket. But what you're able to do is to create chats with anyone within the organization. For instance, I can start a chat with Sandy, and you can see our conversation history, and I can quickly send Sandy a message like, do you have the PowerPoint for today? Which I in fact sent her earlier today, just in a different chat. You can also have group chats with multiple people in them. And you see here, Sandy has popped up and said yes to my message. She does in fact have the PowerPoint for today. You saw it even. And you can see we have a work chat for Olette. We also have a water cooler chat for kind of the casual conversations we might have around the water cooler. You can see I sent everybody a picture of my cat yesterday. And this was really useful for us going remote for the pandemic, being able to use Teams in this chat kind of to substitute for yelling from office to office at each other, and can help with that quick communication that maybe doesn't need to be an email, it doesn't need to be a phone call, but we operate our student live chat, and if somebody gets a question they don't know the answer to, we send it to the team, that kind of thing. The other big feature of Teams is the Teams section, which, Robin, you said you were on several of these, and you can see I am too, although
Yes.
none of these get a lot of action. What these are mini hubs that you can invite whoever you want to. I'm going to go in here to Test Team, which I created this morning. And when we look at the anatomy of a team, we have this left hand, not all the way to the left where our main menu is, but we have our sort of left hand hub here that has a team picture, or it'll create a little box based on the title of the team. And then here we have all of our team channels. If you've ever been on Slack or an old school forum, you're familiar with one big group being broken down into smaller topics. And in this case, we use channels. I set up a general channel and a meeting minutes channel for this hypothetical team I was creating, so that there could be a place to chat, but there could also be a place to record official meeting minutes. I can add as many channels as I want. Let's just go basic and start a pet pictures channel, where in theory, that's what we want in this channel. Any thing you want to section off, you can create a channel for. You can also create private channels that only certain people can get into, and you can set who you want in there. The neat thing about channels is that they are broken out still further into conversation. So I can start several conversations. This welcome thing is kind of getting in my way. How do I log in? And you can see this, I was clicking in the wrong place. So if I create a new conversation, you can see that it pops up separately here, and I can individually reply to different conversations. So if we look at this, where we can see the conversations and what was directly in the conversation, versus this chat with Sandy that just keeps going back, things are less likely to get buried in this conversation and can be organized a little bit more neatly. And when I respond to a channel, or when I respond to a conversation, it bumps it and the whole context to the bottom. Or does it? The other one did.
Yeah, I
It
don't
might.
think this one does.
Okay, so sometimes it will bump it to the bottom, given our anecdotal evidence. And then within our team, and this is true of chats too, along this top menu, we have the ability to see different tabs, such as the posts in the channel, and then the files that have been shared within that channel. So there aren't any files here right now because I haven't put any there. But if I upload a Word, or I can create a new Word document and I can upload a file. So I will upload, sure, my weekly report from a month ago. I'll upload that to the team, no problem. And now we'll end up with a list of our files. We automatically have a OneNote notebook in each channel, and then can add as many tabs for different apps as we want. Something we did discuss this morning that we noticed is that Microsoft would like us to spend more money. So they will list apps here that we don't necessarily have access to through the current subscription. I unfortunately don't have the list of which ones we have memorized because this is a quite long list. But you can assume that the basic Microsoft stuff should be available. So if you want to specifically have a Word tab, you can go ahead and do that. A whiteboard might be useful, things like that. So we can name our whiteboard, we'll call it whiteboard, that's fine. And you can customize as much as you need to within this team. I can choose that I can want to present the whiteboard and only I can edit it, or collaborate on it. We'll let everybody draw on the whiteboard, that's fine. And I'm really good at drawing with my mouse, as you can tell. Some other features we have going on up here are the ability to start a video call from right in your team. You can also start a video call from chat or an audio call, as well as screen sharing within your chat. And you can see Sandy and I have our files that we have going on here. Organization. Okay, so this shows how we're all connected. let's see. I also keep my calendar pinned to my Teams personally. I find it easier to manage than the Outlook calendar and like that a little bit more. And then we can add any number of apps here as well. Sandy, I've been talking a while. What have I missed? What do you want to highlight?
I think I mean, I would like to hear from Sharon and Robin if there's anything that they specifically have a question to. And I did want to make a comment, Sharon. I should have answered you before when you mentioned about using Teams with other schools. Students can use Teams in other schools. Actually, you can set it up as a class. You can have a class set up in Teams. We are not there yet, but you can do assignments through Teams and so on. So the point is, every school, every institution, every office uses Teams in a different way. Just bear that in mind. So I think, do you have anything specifically that you have a question about? I
So
think Sarah did a good job with showing you. Or do you have to create a team maybe and don't know how to do that?
So if I'm understand, then if I want, so the teams at NCC can only be used within either fellow instructors or
Yeah,
staff,
staff and faculty
admin.
and that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
not yet. We are going to incorporate it into Teams, but there was something about permissions with students' emails, and maybe now that everyone is on the Outlook email system, it might, be a little different. But we haven't really gotten the go-ahead yet to, put our classes in Teams. I'm going to try it out for a while and see how that works out. But bottom line is, every school, every institution, every business uses Teams in a different way. You just pick and choose what is, most useful for you.
Okay,
We
thank
use
you.
we use the calls a lot and the chat a lot.
Mhm.
That
Thank
really
you.
saved us. How about you, Robin? Now that you see all of, you see we have, this is Sarah's team. She has several teams here. Do you understand the difference between it? Just open up one of those teams and you'll find the members and you'll find, chats or whatever files that you're sharing within that particular team.
Right, I do know that, so I've got those basics pretty much covered.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah. And
There,
Sarah showed you the apps. There's, probably 100 apps that you can add to your teams. What else? What else can we?
How would you put a file from one
Yeah.
location into Teams?
Okay.
so if I open up my test team, I'll add it right to the general chat. Down here, I have a number of options, including attach. I can also add emojis, GIFs, stickers. What are you streaming? Interesting. I can send praise, approvals, forms. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. So if I attach, I can either browse Teams and channels. So I can grab something that I've sent in Teams before, something recent. I can browse my whole OneDrive, or I can upload from my computer. So,
Perfect.
yep, and I'll do a quick grab. OneDrive. Here's the PowerPoint from today that Sandy shared with me. I'll upload a copy of that. And once it's uploaded, see the attached PowerPoint and go ahead and send that. And then it's here, and we can also find it in our Teams, in our files section.
Now,
And,
if you're in
Sarah-
the,
Oh, go ahead.
if you're in the files section
Mhm.
and you just,
Upload.
yeah, so you could put other documents into
Mhm.
it.
Yep, I can just hit upload here and
Then it will, you would search wherever. Okay.
yes.
Perfect.
And I can also I can begin a new file directly from here as well. So I can say new Word document.
Okay, or I
Create
saw
that.
even a new folder and all of
Mhm.
that. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then when we're done, we can close it, it'll save, and we wind up back where we were.
Sarah, would you go back to where you, just go back to the chat there where you added the file just a couple of minutes ago?
Oh, yes.
Okay, if you click on the ellipsis there next to the, yes, you can, you could get the link and send it to someone if you wanted to. You can also send the entire conversation to someone if you wanted to. Right, yeah. You can save the message if you want to, you can copy that. You can send it to your Outlook.
Mhm.
So if somebody uploaded a file that was really, really important, you wanted to share it with somebody outside of the group or send an email out to, another group, you could do that and send it along that way.
Thank you.
So that's kind of helpful if, you get a file, even in a chat that you want to share with somebody else, you can send it directly to Outlook. What else do we have? Do you have any other questions or anything else we can help you with?
I've got nothing at this time.
Is that making a little more sense for you, Robin?
Yes, it does. It does. I'm not one to really go searching and, no touch if I don't know where I'm going.
Right.
So this has helped quite a bit.
I think you mentioned, Sarah, adding a poll
Mhm.
even using forms if you needed to do that. You know about recording meetings. So if you are using the calendar and you if you're recording a meeting within Teams, you can also get a chat from it. But you can record any meeting and the Outlook calendar and your Teams calendar join each other. So if you have something in your Outlook calendar, you can actually record it in Teams as well. What was the other little tip? Oh, the Control Shift M and the control period. There are, when you're in a Teams meeting and, particularly if you're in a recording, how you have to go up and turn off the microphone or turn on mute yourself and unmute yourself. There's a quick little trick that you can use and just use Control Shift M, and that will mute you. And then when you want to turn your microphone on, if you're asked to speak real quick or need to speak, Control Shift M again. And there's a whole list of commands and things that you can find by using Control period. There's all types of little features. Let's see. What else did we want to show them, Sarah? How are you feeling about it now, Sharon?
Oh, this is a good overview review. Appreciate it.
So you use it, you said, do you use it here at NCC or just at your other college?
I've used it at other colleges. One uses it for departmental meetings.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and the other one, you can, have online meetings with students, either class or
Oh,
individual meetings.
that's That's nice. I know that all the divisions are using Teams and SharePoint more and more. You know, Maggie's group especially uses it quite a lot. They, have files that they share for their different division, and I think they also have it broken down to department. So like the art department, all the files for the art department are kept in, in one area, and so on. So it really does keep everything very organized and handy. So if somebody, needs minutes to a meeting, a curriculum meeting from last month, they can just go to their Teams files or SharePoint and send that file out to somebody. So we're a Microsoft school, so we're really, I think now just getting on the bandwagon and using it as much as we can.
So this might be a tangent, but this one college right during the COVID had installed a camera in the classroom. So if you had in-class students and someone couldn't attend because they were sick or something, somehow we could log into Teams and teach both groups of students.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting application.
And also, I'll add this, my grandchildren during the entire pandemic, that's how they were running their schools. And actually I felt kind of, I felt kind of bad for those teachers because they had, maybe half the class, if that many, in the classroom, but there was the entire rest of the class at home on Zoom. I think they use Zoom or Google Meet. So the poor teachers had to, pay attention to both. So yeah, it was really a blessing during pandemic. So let's see. Anything else? Did we cover everything, Sarah? I think we
covered everything I had in mind. So if there's not any more questions, this has been our Teams basics.
Yeah.
Thank you so
This is
much.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you
for
so
being
much.
here. And if you have any questions, you can, send them over to me or Sarah, and we'll be happy to help you with it.
You
Or
can
do a
even chat
one-on-one.
us on Teams.
Yeah, yeah. You can find anybody that's at NCC on Teams, when you go to send a message out or send something out. And one day I got a phone call from an instructor in Monroe, just out of the blue, called through Teams, and I was pretty surprised, but he knew how to do that. So that's pretty cool.
So one kind of question, since I'm not a frequent user, if someone did send you a chat message and you're not in Teams per se, is there another notification that will pop up on your email
It
or
should
something?
send you an email.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the email. Here. Which again is really nice because all of these Microsoft programs are intertwined. What you have in Outlook, you can usually see in Teams. They just all mesh together. So that's a nice feature. Good question. All right. Well, good luck, Robin and Sharon. Nice that you
Thank you.
dropped by.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Wonderful
Day.
day.
Thank you. Have a great day.